Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners Budget Work Session for this Friday, October 22nd, 2021. It's 9:09 a.m. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. In the boardroom, we have Vice Chair Commissioner Gary Edwards. Commissioner Carolina Mejia is present through Zoom. We have Ramiro Chavez, County Manager, and Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell in the boardroom, and our budget team with us through Zoom. We're slated for a couple of sessions today from 9 to 11:30, and then I believe 1:30 to 4. And I'm just going to turn it straight over to Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning. Again, Robin Campbell, Assistant County Manager. And we are continuing our review of the 22-23 Thurston County budget. Again, asking the board during these next few days to make your preliminary decisions. And for those who were not watching yesterday morning, they are preliminary decisions because the board does not make their final decisions until after the public hearing. But you do need to make decisions on what goes in the budget book that will be available on November 22nd. And then public hearings, I think the dates are December 6th and 7th this year. I'm going to begin today. You all got a packet of paper, which is how the budget is these days. And I'm going to start with the forecast that I know that you've all been waiting for. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to spend just a few minutes this morning on general fund, and then we're going to switch to non-general fund and really dive in there and kind of get those decisions made. And then we'll go back to the general fund for the rest of the time. But here is the general fund forecast. It has been updated for the most recent numbers in 22 and 23. They are coming out of Questica. So those are the numbers that it's our best guess at this time, and including maintenance level decisions that you all made yesterday. So this is where we're at as of this point in time. Commissioners, you have this forecast in a large sheet of paper. It looks like this. And you have a small graph, and here's the graph. Come on. Technology, what fun it is. Because when I view this on my computer screen at home, it is, of course, full size and easy to see. Well, that's better. So this graph, the important thing to know about this graph is your forecast currently includes all maintenance level, again, as approved by the board, and the most current numbers out of Questica, your budget system. It also includes the policy level decisions that were ranked 1 and 2 by the board. And by 1 and 2, I mean everything that was ranked high by every commissioner, all three, so high, high, high. And number 2 is ranked high by 2 commissioners and medium by the third. And the medium wasn't always by the same person. It's just simply a way to rank them. And in a moment, when we start to go through the general fund policy level items, I will share the key with you so you can see how it fell out. But everything that ranked high across the board and high, medium, 1 and 2, are included as funded in this particular version of the forecast. Now, this is going to change, I've asked all offices and departments to update their annual projections for this year, and I'll enter those over the weekend, so 2021 will be updated. I've already updated, and what you see that was different from one of your last versions of the forecast is the reversion this year is going to be substantial. Part of that is because we expected to spend money on COVID out of the general fund, and we're not going to. So we found other ways to fund about $1.5 million in expenditures through the Recovery Act money out of non-departmental. So that will be reverted to fund balance. And then the LFO money that you just appropriated for the clerk to start doing the refunds this year, a large portion, we appropriated $1 million because we had no idea how much she was going to pay out this year, but they're going to revert the vast majority of that. So the reversion this year is going to be substantially more than 3%. Again, I've asked offices and departments to update those, and I'll enter that information this weekend. And your ending fund balance this year is going to be around $35 million. So we come into 22 and 23. Yes, sir.
Quick question, on the reversion, you have it here at 5.8 on the model. You expect that perhaps that will be higher?
No, that's already
this
higher
is what
than,
okay,
yes, this is a change from the last version that they saw.
So the expectations will
Yes.
be higher, okay, got it,
Yeah.
thank you.
We had thought the reversion would be around 3% the last time we did the forecast. So the forecast is going to be updated again. The 22 and 23, the projections are what we have in the system. Every office's and department's best guess. As you heard, a lot of the revenue changes, every office and department this year did an excellent job of reviewing the revenues and making appropriate adjustments at maintenance level. And then the policy level is everything included in rank 1 and 2. Oh,
Hey, Robin.
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
Oh.
I can't see you guys' hands very well, so sorry. I was just curious about the ranked 1 and 2. Is there a way to know like what that totaled up to on, the 2.5 million versus, 3 million versus 1.5?
Yes. So the 1 and 2 rankings, the total, and we will get deep into the details of this later, probably later today, this afternoon. But the total is right here in the blue box of expenditures under 22 and 23. Your highest rankings, 1 and 2, added up to 2,263,000.
Where's the blue box?
Plus the
You said
little blue box.
The little tiny blue box.
Yeah, little tiny box.
Got it.
That's
Thank
the
you.
policy level expenditures.
Thank you.
So this $2.3 million assumes that we would use the entire $1,141,000 in one-time funding for law and justice on the body cameras. And I met yesterday with the undersheriff and Chief Thompson, and they said that the sheriff is okay with going with what he presented as option number 2 for the body cameras, where we buy them as long as we're paying into ER&R to replace them in 5 years. He's good with that. So with that assumption, there's 2.3 million, just under 2.3 million in 22 and just under 2 million in 23. And we'll get into exactly what's in all of that, what items add up to that, again, when we dive deep into general fund policy level. But
Thank you.
I know that the board was anxious for the forecast, so I wanted to start with that and not hold you in suspense. Commissioner Mejia, you had a question.
Yes, so I was just gonna ask for the expenditure level on the forecast. It seems higher than what we've been kind of given a little bit, and I was just asking, why is that?
So help me know where the changes are that you'd like me to address.
1 second, I had it, and I started looking at something else, and now I lost it.
A lot of
1 second, yeah. Expenditures, isn't that?
Maybe while she's looking that up,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd just follow up on that, on, say, the 2021 estimates. You know, the fund balance was gonna be it is now projected 29.2 million.
Oh, that was our beginning fund balance this year. That's a known number. That's not an estimate.
Okay, then, but then
That's
you're
an
going up to the 35 for this coming session.
Right.
And that's, that's pretty substantial.
It's extremely substantial.
Okay, and that's because of the facts that you've just been telling us.
Yes,
Right.
it's more than it was last time, mainly because I've adjusted expenditures. We're gonna revert more.
And then the reversion back and the clerk giving back that, okay.
To the
that's-
majority
so
of the
that all
million,
added
yeah,
up
that
to,
does all add up.
okay, to that point, to the
Yep.
35.2, good enough.
No, Commissioner.
So my question is in relation to kind of the total expenditures and how we end up throughout the years, I feel like at a kind of lower balance. Sorry, I'm just comparing.
That's good. If she hasn't found that, I'll give you some time, if that's okay.
No, go ahead.
On property tax, from what we were last year, at the start of the year, to now, so just say $3 million more. And is that the new construction thing that's gonna be about $1 million?
Yes.
That's about it, huh?
Yeah, that drives it up substantially.
And then the other two is just the normal course of doing business.
There's the levy lift, there's the diversion, there's all the pieces that
Okay.
go into the levy calculation. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my question is kind of why does it unstabilize? So over here, I feel like once it goes to 2027 through 2030, it kind of does like, and it finally stabilizes itself. I'm not seeing that as much here in this new one, and so I'm wondering why is that?
Right, so that's because the numbers changed in 22 and 23. As we worked through the entries in Questica, and I talked a little bit yesterday about how these numbers have been evolving. As budget staff look at every entry from every office and department, we've been finding things that needed to be corrected. So the maintenance level items that you saw yesterday had corrections, and this new forecast includes those corrections that were not reflected on the forecast then. Revenues went down, expenditures went up, so it left a little less to spend in policy and not as flat over time in the graph. See, it's more of a dip down than what you saw last time, then it starts to grow back up again. I also updated, I double checked the salary PULA number, and a few other things that are built in here, but these are the latest, greatest, and this is a forecast. So I'm just gonna say, you've heard me say this many times, a forecast is a point in time estimate. It's already out of date. So as soon as I print it, it's outdated. It will change every time by design. And so you have the latest, greatest at this minute. On Monday, you'll have a new updated version, and I'll probably update it at least one more time before we ask for your final decisions next Thursday, because by Tuesday next week, I should have the next sales tax number for this year to see how that trend is progressing.
Okay.
So it
You're
all,
up.
it's complicated. Yes, sir.
I think I just figured something out. I just want to clarify or confirm with you. The reason that, so the revenue and I'm looking at the graph, not this table. I forget what you call them. Yeah. So the green and red lines are on a different scale than the bar graph is what I'm seeing. The green and red lines, each line is 10 million versus 5 million for the bar graph. Because, and I'm thinking that that's why it explains what, like from 2024 to 2028, the spatial difference in the, the gap between revenue, green and red line doesn't account for this, the drop in the bar graph. But I think that's because we're on a different, like we're on a factor of 2 different scale. Is that correct?
That is correct. They are different scales. This is a graph that has 2 y-axes.
Yeah, it's helping us to see the differences better. Yeah, so I get that, and that's why.
Exactly. Yeah.
So a small difference between red and green revenue and expenditure will make a correspondingly larger dip in your bar graph because it's on a double.
A much different scale, yes. That's correct.
Okay, I got you.
Good. Okay, so really, that's about all I wanted to say about general fund right now, because it's going to be the most complicated thing we do in the next 5 days. And I'd like to, if the board is willing, I'd like to get the non-general fund things out of the way, so that you can spend the rest of your time on general fund. So I'm gonna ask you to set aside packets 1 and 2. We're just gonna set those aside and we will absolutely be coming back to them. But we're gonna turn instead to packet number 3 and start decision-making with Public Works. Commissioner Mejia, I can move down and give you more space.
So
I
we're doing
tend
1
to
and
crowd.
2?
And we're gonna set 1 and 2 aside. We're gonna start with number 3.
Number 2 is all the general fund requests.
Yeah,
We'll spend most of the time after you make decisions on the non-general fund.
right.
So where you, in number 3 is Public Works.
Yep. All right. So I said that I would, I'll get to that in a minute. So we've got Public Works, and the way to read the form now, and we'll give Commissioner Mejia a moment. It's fine. You get a ruler? I should have given you all rulers. I really should. So the way to read this report that's in front of you is we have numbered the lines on the far left to try to help us follow along. And Denise got the page numbers to work, so, so yep, good job.
Good.
So the change request number, you'll see that like right off the bat, more than one line has the change request number. That means that all of these lines are about the water and utility rate increase. The amount of money you see, revenue expenditures for each of the years in question. The fund is the 3rd column in, and you'll see none of these are general fund. If there was a general fund impact in the proposal, we'll review it in the general fund packet. So none of these in this packet have general fund impact. Then you see the rankings in the columns at the right. The first items don't have rankings, and that's why you have a little sheet that looks like this. It's titled Policy Change Request Adjustments for the Preliminary Budget. Since the presentations, we've become aware of this short list of additional items that you did not have an opportunity to see or rank. So as we work through this packet, if you see something with no ranking, it's something on the new list, and we'll spend a little more time. I'll do my best to present what the officer department sent in.
This is a mix of general fund and non-general fund.
Yeah, this is all the new stuff
Okay.
on the list, it's policy level that you haven't seen yet. So the first few lines don't have rankings, they're new, but then you see the rankings on the very last line on page 1. This happens to be one that was ranked high by everybody and scored number 1. And if you turn to page 2, and right now, again, I'm just telling you how to read this, you'll see line 11 is ranked 2 because it has 2 highs and a medium. Line 12 is ranked 4, it's a high and 2 mediums. And this is, let's see if I can find the key. I should print the key and give it to you. But for the moment, I'm gonna share my screen so you see the ranking key. Gosh,
I guess I
need a
just
real
need to ask you
computer
something on,
here.
and you said on 9, how come 8 wasn't ranked the same way, do you know?
Line 8,
One's Long Lake, one's Long, I thought they were all good
it's
to be handled the
on
same.
the list that you had not seen yet.
But I mean, I remember discussing that,
Revenue.
the 5% for both
Right.
Lawrence and,
It's ranked on number 10. So for some, the same one on,
Oh, it's got the ranking on 10.
yeah, so
It's
for
the-
Long Lake, so 9 is ranked for Lake Lawrence and then 10 is ranked for
well,
Long Lake.
okay, I was looking at 8, is,
He's looking at line number 8, it's a 5% assessment increase. It's a revenue increase that was not part of the policy level proposals when you rank them. So this is an opportunity, and again, we can spend a little more time on things you had not had an opportunity to rank.
So I think
you think it's up here?
you're correct, because when you go through the general fund,
Mhm.
that is where you will make a decision to transfer the indirect cost. I think that's what you're referring to,
Mhm.
right? The indirect cost of Lake Lawrence and to their fund. But that's a decision on the general fund.
Oh, okay, I guess I just don't know the difference between why Lawrence Lake and Long Lake are ranked differently, that's all. I
think there was 3 different things. One was to approve their rate increase.
yeah,
The second was to give them budget authority to access all of their money.
yeah,
And then the third thing was, were we going to transfer from the general fund to cover interfund? So there's 3 items per lake. And I think item 8 is just their fee increase. Item 9 is actually giving them the budget authority to access all the money that they've got at their disposal.
Yeah, that is absolutely
Okay.
correct, because the like 7 and 8, if you read the descriptions, the 5% fee increase that you may be considering adding, then you will be having a public hearing. You've already set the public hearing for that.
Right.
So
And then 9 and 10 go together.
So that is under the 2023 revenue.
yeah, 7 and 8 go together, 9 and 10.
Okay.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay, so here's how let me make this. I need to figure out a way to better with the screens in here. So this is how the rankings work. If something had high, it gets a number 1. High, medium is a 2. High, low is a 3, and on down the list. Now, some of them, you know, would 2 mediums be higher than a high and a low?
That's how come I gave you pluses and minuses.
Oh, man, I could not deal with your plus. I got those from Commissioner Menzer too. I
Oh,
couldn't
did
deal
you?
with
I
the
s-
plus and minus.
I saw Gary doing it, so I
Yes,
did it.
yes, you followed along. So
Like
I,
a medium, plus.
right, it was hard enough to just come up with 10, so,
Okay.
those didn't get factored in, but, you'll be able to see exactly what the rankings were. You won't know who ranked it how, although you ought to recognize your own. And again, you can change your mind. So this is just a tool to help sort things and give you a feel for where it was falling on the board's interest to fund it. So knowing all of that, that's all the background. We'll start down this list and I'm gonna start asking you thumbs up, thumbs down. Are you ready? I need my glasses because the print's small. So here we go. The first item on this list is the water and utility 2022 3% rate increase. Now, there's going to be a public hearing on the rate increase. You can change your mind after the public hearing. You are not locked in. My question, up or down at this moment, is should we include this anticipated revenue in the preliminary budget?
Okay, let me ask you a question on that, because it seems like when Public Works gave us this information, they said this has been run by that particular group.
Yes, they did.
And they've kind of agreed to this.
Yep,
I mean, and nothing's changed, right?
correct.
Okay, good enough. So,
But from the process point of view, there is a public hearing.
I know, and we can't make a final
So,
decision
and
till
that's
after.
what, you know, and because you need to allow other members of the public to provide their perspective
Yes.
on this particular proposal.
Yep, so you'll hear from the public, but a preliminary thumbs up,
Yeah.
yes. I see 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay, and we're off. Line 7 is a 5% assessment increase for Lake Lawrence Management District beginning in 2023. A thumbs up. Yes, questions before I ask you to? If you got questions, stop me, okay?
Okay.
All right, so.
Are you
thumbs
on
up.
line 7?
I am on line 7, yes, sir.
Because 1, 2 through 6 was part of 1?
Yes,
Okay, I'm good on 7.
okay. Line 8, a 5% assessment increase for the Long Lake Management District, again, beginning in 2023. Up, thumbs up, all right. Lines 9 and 10 are for the, Lake Lawrence, Long Lake.
That's for additional work they make.
They're different. So this is where they started with the rankings. And this is, line 9 is the budget increase so they can spend the money that they have in the fund. So thumbs up, yep, okay. And line 10, same kind of thing for Long Lake, it's so that they can spend the money that they have in the fund, should they have projects to spend it on. Yes, yes, yes.
Do we know which one is each?
No, you don't know which commissioner, because I was just grabbing them as I went, and I didn't do them in any order, so I can't put your name at the
It
top of the
looks like they're
column.
all high.
These are all high, so I know which commissioner
Right.
did each one of
But
these.
it will go a little more in details when you rank medium and low, so.
Yeah, then you'll be able to look back at your own sheets. I gave them back to you,
Yeah.
so I don't even remember who did what. I didn't keep that bit of information. No one can do a public records request. So line 11, which is B34027, is in the solid waste fund. This is to have professional services funding increases for costs in the operating the facility. This
Yeah.
goes with your new
Okay,
contract.
this is the disposal contract. It was extended until we can get the new one. And as a result, we have seen increase in processing the number of tonnage of solid waste. So this is just the result of the increasing in cost of processing solid waste.
And this doesn't come out of general fund.
No,
This comes from tipping,
nothing
right?
today is
Solid waste
general fund.
Yeah, this is that tipping fee,
Yeah,
right,
tipping
that we've
solid
got
waste.
adequate money in.
Ton of money in this fund.
Yep, okay.
Okay, so thumbs up? Other questions? All right, thumbs up. Line number 12 is B34031. This is $100,000 to fund pre-design studies on an ongoing annual basis this is to develop any necessary projects related to solid waste. So this allows Public Works, and I have a similar amount in Central Services, where we would do work on a capital project to just test to see if it's a project that needs to be done and to get a solid proposal to bring to the board.
This is where you're thinking about consolidating the drop-off point down south? Is that part of it?
Part of that's part of the upcoming contract negotiations. This is what exactly what Gordon stated. There's sometimes projects that come that are needed to do. This allows to do a little bit of engineering to determine what needs to be done and how much it's going to cost, for us to bring somewhat of a more accurate cost estimate for the board to consider. Because as you may recall it, in some instances, when a project comes up, and if we don't spend the time and effort to determine how much it's going to cost, we come across when the final estimate is completed, that the costs have increased. It's because we haven't spent a little time in determining what actually it's going to cost. This allows us to do that.
Right. And you'll see a request for that type of funding now across all of your capital funds. It's so we can bring better information to the board.
Especially when it relates to the cost, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because when someone comes and says, hey, we need a project at the fairgrounds, and maybe it's gonna cost $100,000. Well, if we look into what the project might actually be, and we start to do our due diligence, then we find out that it's more like $750,000. The cost didn't go up, it's just that preliminary estimate, we had no foundation.
And really,
Commissioner Mensah has a question.
Yes, Commissioner?
My question on this was just, I mean, I don't mind the concept of it. It was just the fact that seemed like pulling $100,000 out of the air and embedding it into the budget for time immemorial, because it's basically ongoing. Why wouldn't we just give $100,000 for the next 2 years as a one, quote unquote, one time, or in this case, 2 time, and then look at it and see, did we need that much? Did we need more? Did we use that? Because I'm just nervous about embedding $100,000 into the budget forever when we have really no idea how much we're going to need for stuff like this.
yeah, and that's absolutely your purview. And considering approving this for 2022 and 23, absolutely. And when you review the budget for 2024, that will give you the opportunity to revisit what you have accomplished with that investment. Absolutely important.
Yeah, we could definitely set it up so it would have an end date and be up for review.
I agree with that because I feel, I like that where we can go back and look of like, well, is this what we actually need for these pre-design concept? I think it's a good planning for us to actually know the cost of the projects before, you know, and definitely know what we need to set aside. But I do agree that since it's such a new concept that's being brought up, maybe doing like a 2-year trial for this biannual and see how it works out.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Commissioner? Commissioner Evans?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Thumbs up on the proposal for a 2-year?
Yeah.
Yep.
What Ty proposed.
2 years.
I'm actually reading about 10 million or something, 10.7, that's more interesting.
All right, lines 13 and 14, that gets to the 10 million that you're looking at, is for the solid waste operating transfer adjustments. There are a number of things included in this, and it's, that 10 million is a revenue increase, not an expenditure increase.
Yeah, but it's based on like a $5 ton increase.
They're transferring 10.5 million from the M&O fund to the operating, the OR fund,
So you need to
operating
read,
reserve fund.
lines 13 and 14 together.
And they're moving that out of,
Is a transfer.
yep, they're moving it out of the maintenance and operation fund into the solid waste reserves so that there's money to pay for construction projects that are planned in your capital budget.
Is there $10 million planned?
Oh heavens,
Oh,
there's
oh.
way more than that.
So that's where you find the potential consolidation of the study.
I'm thinking about the compactor and things like
See
that.
all that, because if the consolidation on the 2 satellite locations doesn't occur, we need to upgrade those 2 locations. It includes all the perhaps new scales, new system to track the weight, so all that is part of that.
Okay. I mean,
Okay.
it looks like the cost of doing business.
It's putting money aside so that there's money available
Like an
when
ER.
it comes time to do the projects.
Okay.
All right, thumbs up on these? Yes, yes, yes.
13 and 14?
Yep.
Put together, yeah.
Yeah, those two go together. Line 15 is a single line item, and this is simply revenue, more revenue coming in to the transportation impact fee. Revenue. This
this
is
is-
tied to the fee
Yeah, to the
increase.
fee increase that you were asking the commissioner.
Yeah, but I thought there was a reduction in that for some.
Yeah, I thought it was going down.
Yeah, right, so I'm trying to balance that
It's
out.
going down, but
How does that
Yeah.
figure?
So
It was the same amount going the other way.
is the fee is going up, but the overall revenues, so think in terms of the baseline increase on the fees versus the overall revenue on the fund. And I think what you were discussing the last time was the overall revenues in the fund and the traffic impact fee fund as a whole. So it was more about the bottom line.
Isn't that what this is though?
This is purely the increase.
so what we looked at yesterday was maintenance level. At the maintenance level, if you don't change anything at all, the amount of fees being collected is going down. And we're looking at the parks and not the transportation yesterday? We might have looked at both.
No, that was
No, we were looking at
Okay.
transportation.
All right.
Commissioner Edwards is right. But I think I understand. You're saying if we didn't change the fee, we would have had to have accounted for a $60,000 loss.
Right,
Because we're changing the fee, it's going to kind of wash out.
that's right.
Yeah,
And,
right.
and the change in a fee is a policy level choice. That's why you're looking at them in separate steps.
Because you're absolutely, the maintenance level that you reviewed yesterday is just if nothing changes. If nothing changes, there's a reduction. And here's a policy level, you said A or nay.
But we already changed, I mean,
You already took a, made a decision, this reflects the decision that you made already.
yeah, so it seems, it would have been
Maybe
intuitive if that was in the maintenance level, because that decision was made.
Right.
But I guess my question is yeah, and we keep saying the fee increased, but of course there were different categories and some went down and some went up. We're just talking about the aggregate.
Right,
And it washes out the reduction in projects anticipated that would have caused the maintenance level reduction in impact fee revenue.
Yeah, I think that's a well stated.
Coincidental that it's the same number. I can understand the confusion from Commissioner Edwards. But
Okay.
that is kind of
I'm good.
an odd.
I'm gonna follow the lead of the chair.
I didn't realize that they'd already made a final decision on that. I knew they held the public
There
hearing.
was a public hearing held.
I remember
and
the
they will
hearing.
pass a resolution.
Okay.
Yep.
Usually when we see fee increases, they're, I think I remember saying that we're
But I
okay
think
to go
it's
without
It's
it.
living here because it needs to be part of the revenue,
Yes,
the revenue public hearing, that's
well,
why.
yes, it does. Okay.
Did I see two?
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay,
good.
thank you. I'm tracking all day.
Yes, thank you. We all try to track the decisions and then we meet up later and make sure we all caught them. Line number 16 is also Public Works on the roads fund. This is a request to add 2 civil engineer FTEs that support development planning services.
Specifically related to a stormwater review.
It's coming out of the road fund.
Yeah, because the fees are coming into,
But the stormwater fee funded?
No,
actually, this is funded by the
road fund.
road fund.
But how come it's not funded by the stormwater fee? If that's what they're gonna be doing.
So it's two things. The stormwater fee is, it funds stormwater projects. These 2 positions are reviewing proposals, development proposals, and these 2 positions will specifically be focused on reviewing stormwater proposals as part of the overall development.
Okay.
So it's 2 different things.
Yes, and you'll read in the description that the county received a notification of non-compliance.
Yeah, it's part of the,
Yep.
they call NPDES, non-compliance that we had a couple of years ago, and this just complements all the efforts that we have done by adding additional staff to review the stormwater permits.
So all
Was
the,
I think I'm the H on here because I've been hearing externally and internally that we're undermanned in this category. So I'm glad we can fund it through this means. But I definitely think I'm the H here because I know this is a big need.
Yeah, I wanted to hear more conversation on it. I just wasn't really sure of it and kind of like what they were requesting. So I pressed and I didn't add because usually when I did a meeting was because I wanted to hear like more conversation on it and to see kind of like specifically what the need was. So Commissioner Menster, you said you've been hearing conversations about that. Can you please share with me? Because I haven't, so
Sure. I'm trying to think of all the different pieces of it. I think mostly it came from like citizen disputes where a stormwater issue between neighbors was not going well. Water was, and so when we kind of dug in, and we've had half a dozen or more of these, and we dug deeper into it, and there was complaints that we weren't maybe we did a good review at the front end, but there wasn't a good follow-up. And then I dug and I met with Larry Schaffner, I met with, Jennifer Walker, and digging deep into like, well, why didn't this get followed up on, or why weren't these pieces connected and dialed up? A lot of it just came up to kind of historical, like there was a staffing cut, and then certain positions didn't get restored, and then there was some work done with the Department of Ecology, but and some pieces were shored up in terms of our violation of our permit, but the staffing thing never got followed through on. And so it's been because of budget, nobody's fault. They've been asking for, and then there were even positions that we had that weren't filled. So it's been, and then we lost some people, like turnover. It's just been I think we really could serve the citizens better. Everybody's happier when stuff's done right up front, and then you don't have these, disputes developing over years, and then we're like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. But, and I've had people really show me with documents and a lot of detail that we laid out some conditions, and then the property owner didn't follow those conditions, and then there was no like follow-up review. Like we didn't have the manpower to basically make sure that the conditions that we set were actually implemented, and that just creates problems for everyone, and bad blood, and distrust of the county and all of that stuff. So I think to have proper review up front and the staffing to accomplish it is just going to make things work better for the citizens and avoid problems. And you can check in with I think Larry Schaffner was the internal staff person that gave me a really comprehensive history of this area and the staffing challenges and where we've come from and where we are. And that's why I was pleased to see this as a Public Works request, because it was something I was going to, if you remember when we were on the whiteboard, actually, I put this up on the board myself, and then Public Works came forward with it on their own. So that was great.
Go ahead.
Maybe just to complement what you stated, Commissioner, back in 2017, we had an audit on the NPDES permit, is the Natural Pollution Discharge. And that's the permit the Department of Ecology issues to the county for us to operate on our own, pretty much, following the stormwater requirements. On the audit that we received, there was a few elements that we needed to implement. And it was developing a comprehensive checklist as to how we review projects, which we did. And also, operationally, we adjusted some of the activities just to make sure that we meet the intent of the permit. And what it was left, it was the staffing levels that we needed to be ramping up to make sure that we review those, as Commissioner Messer stated. And 2019 came, some of the issues associated with the budget and everything else. And I think finally at this point is where you may consider really addressing the last part of the audit that was submitted to the county back in 2017.
I guess as a follow-up to that, I think my concern at the time was, did we really need 2 FTEs versus maybe we could have solved the problem with 1, and the revenue stream to fund both those FTEs, was it shorting us in some other area? And I think I just need the assurance from whomever, I guess, that's got the expertise that, yes, we really need 2, and yes, we've got adequate revenue to cover it without shorting another project somewhere else that maybe we're not even aware of right now, but somebody else might be. So that's kind of where I was going from.
Yeah, and yes to both. And the assurance that you need, I think you're looking for some the 10-year financial plan of their funds.
Okay.
So they have a very adequate funding, And this proposal includes those expenditures in the financial plan. So the answer to your question is both yes.
Okay, I mean, that's kind of that was my question on the medium rate. So if you're, I mean, this almost gotta exclusively take staff to work on something like that. Like, I know Larry gave a presentation that Commissioner Mentzer's talking about before. On that
Right.
permit, but
So Romero, do you remember where Jennifer ranked this on her priorities for the fund?
I think she had it,
I think it was a pretty high
Pretty high.
priority.
yeah, she had it high.
I have my binder if nobody else does.
We all got the big. And it's easy to find public works, there's FAT section.
in the fattest section of this.
Yeah, so let's see. Here's her presentation.
Robin?
Denise, you got it.
Yes, Denise,
I've got it. It's on the change request. They ranked it as number 3.
number 3.
Pretty high.
3 out of how many?
So this is on this separate sheet we're talking about, is that it?
Three out of, geez.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I will try to figure that out, Commissioner
So
Menzer.
7. So they had 7 proposals in operating from the road funds, and this item was number 1 on their road fund requests, according to their presentation.
This was
This
rated
was
number
her
1.
number 1 priority.
Right here.
Yep. For the road fund. All right,
Yeah,
other conversation before I ask for your guidance on this one? Commissioner Mejia, any other questions?
No.
All right, thumbs up on this for 2 FTEs. Yes, yes, and yes. Great.
Thank you.
All right, so the next one, line 17, is, again, it's, for the road fund, it's increasing the pool that they have available for pre-design studies. I think that they've already got about 180,000 in a pre-design study pool, and they're asking to increase that to 300,000 each year. And on this line, they've given you a list of studies they intend to do in 22 and 23. Grand Mound Mobility Study would be included, Pacific Avenue Union Mills and Pacific Avenue Steilacoom intersection studies would all be done with this 300,000 a year, and other items that would come up as we go. So we can time limit this like the last one, or you can give a thumbs up for an ongoing pre-design pool.
what's in there now for pre-design?
About 180,000, because their description says that this amount will increase it so that they have 300,000 each year.
And this is time limited. They only requesting for 2022, 2023.
This to provide a pre-design study of 300,000 annually. So I don't know that they proposed this to be one time, if you will, that would end in 23, or if they intended it to be ongoing. It's not
But
clear.
I think they do have it down as 116,000 for 22 and 23, right? I mean, 116 for each year.
Right. Now, if they didn't tag it to end in 23, we could.
So do they already have, I don't understand how it says 300,000. They already have 184,000?
They do already have some money in a pool to do these types of studies in the road fund.
And they want to just bump it up.
Yes. And as you can see, they have a plan for these particular funds on what types of studies would be done. On what precise studies would be done. Denise, you have something to add?
I was just gonna add, it isn't, marked as one time,
It
so.
is marked as one time, okay.
No, it is not marked as one time.
Oh, it is not marked, it's intended to continue at the higher level.
So
Thank you.
I'm gonna make the proposal to do kind of like what we did with the last one and give for 2022, 2023,
And review it.
and then review it. Seeing that right now they have specific studies that they want to complete. You know, in 2023, we can see forward if they have other specific studies that they want to do, but
Right. Part of the beauty of this is someone comes and says, hey, we need a project. And this gives them a little bit of money to say, okay, what would that project really look like and what would that cost?
Yeah, and
I mean, that's
considering
the beauty of
considering
having.
we already have a baseline of
Yeah.
180,000, that seems to be a prudent approach.
Right.
Don't they generally have these projects though listed in that 6-year plan?
Once the projects, so this again, this is part of the challenge
That's a
that
good,
we've
that's a good
had.
question, actually.
Before they ever get into the 6-year plan, they ought to be somewhat vetted so we know how much money to put in the 6-year plan. And we've been, I don't mean to speak for Jennifer, but as someone who is now responsible for capital projects, it's killing us to put a not well established or well studied capital project in the plan, have the board approve it for a certain amount of money, and have to come back once we hit pre-design or design and find out that it's really not gonna work the way it was thought to work and that it costs a lot more. So I'm gonna step back even more. Jennifer and I joined forces and our project people did a lean project to see how could we do better with the ultimate goal of bringing in projects on time and on budget. And one of the things the team told us was they really need to do pre-design before they bring these projects forward. Because the first time you see a dollar amount, that's how much that sticks in your head.
So, I will take, I'm gonna take Commissioner Edwards back to last year, before Commissioner Mejia came. It really was a briefing related it was a joint briefing between Jennifer and Robin on some of the, as a result of the lean process, how the project delivery was going to be redone. And this is one of the elements of what we call as the pre-design. Because, and this is my word, sometimes we're our worst enemies. When we bring a project for the board to approve without having taken the necessary steps to determine how much it's gonna cost and how long it's gonna take. And this approach, I think, is a good investment for the board to consider, so you have a much better perspective why you will be approving projects down the road.
Right. Right, so Public Works has, that's what they do, our Public Works projects. In Central Services, our projects are tied to facilities, so when someone comes and says, I need more space in the FJC, or we need to remodel Mottman, or we need to figure out what that looks like so we can bring a proposal to the board. Otherwise, I'm just going like this and the numbers are meaningless. That's what these little pools are for.
Yeah, but Commissioner Mejia makes a good point, being able to review that.
You absolutely need to be able to review what we're doing with these, yep,
So what I'm hearing is perhaps we may consider a only a two-year investment.
yep, that works.
Commissioner Mejia, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I think that the question I have is, does this happen so often that it's too cumbersome to come before the board? I mean, when some of these studies are really expensive. I mean, if we're gonna spend $175,000, $200,000 on a pre-study, I feel like the board should be supportive of that kind of level of inquiry into something. But I'm okay with the proposal and we can see how it goes.
I'm actually hoping they'll utilize some of this money and try to get matching money somewhere all the way back to the pre-design stage.
We always look for a match, yep, and what's possible. All right. So moving down to line 18, this is $100,000 per year. They would like to reestablish an ongoing traffic calming program. It had, the county had a program.
I have a history on that one.
Oh, excellent, thank you, because I'm sure it fell to budget cuts.
Yeah, we used to have a program in Public Works to address requests for traffic calming in mainly in neighborhoods. And we used to have requests to put a small circle, what do you call it, speed bumps, or maybe some advisory signs. And over the years, that program was cut when the road fund was, a little in a different situation a few years ago. But the requests have not stopped from citizens or homeowners association for us to look, see what we can do in terms of traffic calming on some of the roadways. This really helped the department to fund what we used to consider. And those are small funding strategies that really addresses the larger needs of those neighborhoods. Because it's a small investment and yet addresses their concern in terms of high speed traveling on the neighborhood roads.
Okay. Now I see it. Okay, I've gotten so many complaints over they're speeding and my neighbor. Okay, so this is what it is. I put a medium on it because I was unsure of. I wanted the conversation to start. I was really unsure on what is this specifically and what it's going to be directed for. When this was in place, was it something the citizens really?
Yeah.
The Meadows is a good
Yeah,
example of
we
where.
used to be responsive.
Yeah,
We used to have the money to be responsive because sometimes, some of the requests that we have, we don't have a program that we can actually tap into it. They can be responsive. And that is, as a programmatic, gives the latitude to respond to those requests from the citizens of neighborhoods. So this is, I believe this is a good program to reestablish.
There is some examples in the Meadows over by the school, there are speed bumps put in place there.
So all those strategies, we call it traffic calming devices.
Okay.
Helps build trust in government. Steamboat Island's a great example. The Steamboat Island Road, if you're ever over there, people just fly down that road and you get complaints and there's accidents, there's been fatalities, and we've had, I know from constituents' stories, there's been more in the past. We've done more than we're doing now, and I think it's had a bad effect. Kind of things are ramping up again, and we need to sort of address them.
All right.
When I'm visiting Louise.
All right, ready? Thumbs up? Yes,
Okay.
yes, great. 3 thumbs. All right, we're at the top of page 4, and we're on line 19. It's B34042. This is the mobility study expenditure and grant funding. And this is to complete the alternative analysis and phase development of the county mobility study. There is grant money that will pay for the majority of this item, and you rated it as a 4. Is this a study that's already in progress, Romero?
It's a carryover.
It's a carryover. Hmm. So this really belonged to maintenance level. Yeah, okay. Board's okay with this?
Yeah, I am.
I guess my question was, it just seemed vague. I didn't really know what this was. I mean, it just says rural road corridors. So it's, I mean, is there specific places they're looking at, or is that just, that could be anywhere
Here,
or
look, it's
anything?
number 19, Commissioner Menser.
Oh, I'm looking at 20.
No, it's 19.
19 appears to be something that we should have
Yeah, I'm
captured at maintenance level.
I am looking at 19. I mean, what I'm
All right,
saying
go.
is, I don't know what they're studying.
Romero, could you?
We're studying the system of rural roads, and that's the mobility study. We're not studying a specific roadway. We're studying the system as to how the rural roads are operating.
I think a good example on this would be Bald Hill Road as a project because of accidents and stuff. Kind of almost what you're referring to, Commissioner Menzer,
So when
on
we
Steamboat Island.
Right, so when we talk about capacity and mobility, usually the studies are not done on a specific roadway in a specific segment. What we're looking is the modeling on a system and how the rural roads are operating as a whole in terms of the capacity and the mobility. So that is really the study.
I mean, I guess I'm just not clear as like, what kind of a deliverable are we going to get? Like, what's the type of a recommendation that we might get out of something like this? Spend a ton more money and add lanes all over the county to make it, I mean,
Well,
what of practical value is going to come out of this?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The practical value will be, you will be allowed to see if there's any specific potential congestion points that you may see down the road. And I'm not here to say that you ended up having a request for going from 2 lanes to 5 lanes of rural roads. Now that will not be the outcome. But the outcome will be that probably you may consider having a left turn on a specific intersection. Or maybe have a 4-way stop on another intersection.
How about a shoulder?
It may be, that type
A
of.
safety.
Yeah, a safety will be a one in the shoulder on our rural roads. And that is really the specific, because a lot of our roadways, rural roads, may not meet the standards to have a 12-foot lanes. Some are 11, some are 10, with 0 shoulders. So, and this is looking at the capacity and mobility. I believe it gives us a perspective on the system itself, not a specific roadways.
Denise?
My 2 cents.
Yes, and just to add to what Romero was sharing, in the change request, they say that the study's already programmed in ongoing work. Data and outcomes from this study will be used for decision-making and prioritizing future roads, investments, and improvements. And it says what will happen if it isn't funded. They said without this study that they will lose some grant funding.
Okay.
All right, thumbs up. Commissioner Menzer? Yep, okay, great, thank you. Line 20, which is B34043, is the roads rural community support funding for neighboring jurisdictions. This is where we receive federal money from TRPC for our capital projects. And then we give the same amount of money out of operating to small local projects where they could never have met the federal reporting requirements, would have been extremely onerous on those small projects.
So we don't give them all the entire amount. We keep a little administrative fee.
Right.
Just to make sure that we process that.
Right, to make sure everything is legal and eligible for the type of money that we pass through. But it's a way to assist our local jurisdictions to have funding for projects that they may otherwise have not been able to do.
I'm good.
Yeah, thumbs up. Yep, this is important, thank you.
Thank you.
The next 3 lines are 044 or B34044. This is a request for the support for the ERP implementation. And we have a separate worksheet on all of the requests related to ERP. So I'm gonna ask that we come back to this one when you view those as a whole. So this one would be on hold for the review of all of the ERP related requests.
And also this is a time limited. So is that not an ongoing?
Yes, it's got an end date.
Yes.
Yep. So with I'm gonna put a hold on this and we're gonna move to the next one. B34047 is 300,000 in operating transfer from roads to the Fund 3010 for pre-design studies. The way the road funds work is there are two. 1190 is your maintenance and operations fund, and then 3010 is the fund that we use to account for all of the construction costs. All of the road revenue, or the vast majority of it that is not grants for a specific project, comes into Fund 1190. And that's why you see Public Works moving money out of 1190 into Fund 3010, out of the M&O account where the money is received, the revenue is received, and into the construction account where we account for the work that's done. So this is a simple transfer from one fund to the other. It's technical. Thumbs up?
I guess just as a question back, if you go back to line 16, and that addresses 1190 funds as well. And where they're wanting the 2 FTEs for that same thing. I guess it looks like they're pretty well connected. 16.
16
Yeah.
Is that the
and line
And line
24?
24, there's something similar going on there. They're both pre-designed funding to go, and I'm just wondering what the connection is there.
Line number 16 is the 2 FTEs to do the review
Yes.
of the stormwater projects on the development site.
Yeah, okay, that's not
That's not.
roads? It says roads, it says 1190 roads.
Well, that's
It's
the fund.
all out of the
Yeah.
same fund. It's a
Same
huge
fund.
fund. The fund
Okay,
pays for all kinds of
that's
stuff.
probably what got my attention, okay.
It's the fund, not necessarily the activity.
Okay, good enough.
Go ahead.
I'm just still confused on this matter specifically. I think this is one of the ones where we saw several ERP proposals, support for it. Did I
Oh.
just,
I flew past that.
oh, geez.
So sorry, Commissioner. I put line 21, 22,
I thought we were on
and
21,
23.
I thought we were
Yeah,
discussing
those-
21.
I'm
Put on hold.
suggesting that
Okay.
we put it on hold until we can.
I thought this was what this discussion was still about, and I was
No,
like,
because-
well, I'm
sorry.
lost.
Because exactly what
You would be
you
lost.
asked is a lot of ERP requests, so we're gonna bundle
Yeah,
those requests.
we're gonna
together.
bundle those up and bring you a bundle, and until then, I'm not asking for a decision on this one.
Okay.
So flip
Okay.
to line 24, there you go.
So 24 and 25 are related.
Yep, 24 and 25. 24 is where we're taking money out of the M&O fund where revenue comes in, putting it into the construction fund where it's needed to perform the work.
And I just.
Is this just
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, is this just a accomplishment of the previous decision about pre-designed studies, or is this a new bucket of pre-designed study money? Or is this just the accomplishing the transfer to effect the previous decision we made a few minutes ago?
On 16?
This, if
No,
you,
not,
No.
16 is stormwater engineering.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm talking
okay.
about
Okay, I thought
it's
that's.
not 16, I'm trying to find what line it is. It's, see, we had solid waste.
so
Line
it's
17.
different.
It's line 17.
On 17.
17 and 24, are they connected? Are they the same? Are they part of the same thing we're accomplishing?
So
Yeah, okay, that's what I was
17
referring to.
is
Instead
for
of 16.
pre-design, for I think that they're different types of projects, because if you read 24, they say that they currently have 1.2 million for this purpose and are asking to increase it to 1.5. So there'd be an additional 300,000 of pre-design studies that would be specifically for road and construction.
So it's a transfer from the road fund to the construction
is.
fund. It's two different funds, what they operate. Is
That's
the road
right.
fund, and the line 17 is purely on the road fund. This is a transfer to the construction fund to continue support the already outlined projects on the construction fund, which is the TIP.
It looks like they are related though, and it all should have been a single transaction, not two different ones.
So on my notes, I have here, it's a housekeeping item.
There you go. That's what I was saying, it's technical.
Because it's a transfer. From
So-
one fund to another, it's zero impact. You're not creating anything else.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, those should have been a single item. Because this transfers the money in and line 17 is spending the money when it's transferred.
In the construction.
Right. So
that's
it's,
what we have fund, transfer out of the fund 1190 and put them into the 3010, which is the construction.
yeah, where you
fund.
spend it. So if you said yes to 17, then you should say yes to this. And we'll put the same kind of a 2023 end on it. Because they are
So it
linked.
isn't, it's not a continuing.
Correct.
Everything.
It would only go through 23 when the board would review it again.
As long as you can, it's not obvious whatsoever from the two descriptions that that's true. If you can confirm that that's true, then I'm thumbs up, but I'd like to sort of get a confirmation on that at some point. That those two are related in the way you're describing, because it's not how they read.
Got it. So maybe
Are we here-
Denise
hearing from
could
Dottie or
do a
something?
little checking while we move on. And I'll
Will
put
do.
all right. I've got a note on that to come back to it. Lines 26 and 27 are moving money from this is for debt payment, apparently. Transfers cover the required debt. So this is closing out a debt fund, and when it's closed out, the balance would transfer into the Tamashan Reserve because the debt will have been paid.
So you need to read
Right.
line item 26 and 27 together.
Right.
Yeah, all the way down to 36, it looks like to me, as far as technical adjustments, isn't it?
Yeah, those-
Set aside revenue. So 28 through 36 is a little different. 26 and 27 is to, once the debt is paid off, they'll take whatever is left in that fund and put it into the reserve fund. It's technical.
Okay, well, that's a bookkeeping thing that
It is a
I'm
bookkeeping
not
thing.
up on. Oh,
Just
yeah.
tell us yes.
Okay. I mean,
That's good.
Yep,
Yeah.
cool.
That takes that.
Lines 28 through 36 are operating transfer adjustments between these funds. Again, money comes into a M&O fund, they place it in a reserve fund until they need it. It's a constant, it is a bookkeeping thing as well,
Yeah.
technical. So thumbs up on those,
Yep, thumbs up.
great.
Doesn't that continue on all the way down to 42?
Through 36.
But if you keep going.
All the
looks like
way
it's
down
all
to
similar.
36. And then we flip the page and we're on page 6 on lines 37 through 41. And this is a request
For additional
for $40,000 to upgrade billing software for the utilities.
I thought it was 10,400.
You have to add up lines 37 through 41.
Okay.
They're all for the same thing, yep. So it should add up to about $40,000 to buy software.
to
Their
manage
billing
the-
software is
to
over
manage
10
the
years old.
utilities.
Yep, specific to the utilities.
They've got adequate money in these reserves.
Yes, they do. Yep, but you've got the financial plans if you'd like to see them. So, thumbs up on software, yes, great.
Through 41.
Yep. Then we have lines 42 and 43, which would be, looks like about $7,500 for an evaluation of general facility charges in the Grand Mound sewer and water systems. Questions about that? You're good with that? All right. We've lost
How about you,
Commissioner
Commissioner?
Menzer? Thumbs
Good.
up, thank
you.
you, sir. 34, this is line 44, and the number is B34054. This is a budget reduction for Olympic View operating. They had more appropriation than they need, so they're asking you to reduce it, and it aligns the budget better with their spending needs. Yep, yes, good,
Yeah.
good work, Karen.
It's hard to argue.
I know. Lines 34055 is $30,000 a year for funding for drainage studies in the Storm and Surface Water Capital Fund. Thumbs
You know, I guess then I'd take that all the way back, I think, to 16.
16 is not
I mean, it's stormwater and stuff.
True.
you
So
know.
this is the fund.
Okay,
Different fund.
some of these are similar.
You're right, I mean, a lot of stuff, what they do is probably cross-pollinated in a way.
So this particular line is to, again, increase the money available for drainage studies, and we could run this through 23 just like we have the others.
What persuaded me on this one is it says in the note that we already approved this, but it just didn't get done.
Is this
It says-
error correct?
200,000 was approved by the BOCC. The project is delayed to 2022. And they're not going to spend the previously allocated 200,000. So
Should have thought it as a technical.
I was just following it up on a previous decision of the board.
Which line are you on, Commissioner?
That's on 46.
I'm on 3405. Let's see.
056.
Oh no, I'm on the wrong one, I guess. Sorry.
Yeah, you're on the
Talk about
next page.
46, yeah.
We're,
I'm on the next one. I'm trying to cross-reference my original sheets with the new sheet, so sometimes I get off by a line. Okay, never mind. That's the next one.
Okay. All right, so we're on line 45. It's again, pre-design work that we would go through 23 and then have them report in if that is suitable. Yes, I'm seeing some nods, 3 thumbs, 2 thumbs, 3, great. And then the last one is 200,000 was approved to the board, but the project was delayed. And they're asking for an additional 100,000, that's why it's in policy level and not technical or And it's to complete the comprehensive plan. So 200,000 is rolling forward and they're adding 100,000.
I don't know enough about it. I mean, it sounds like staff need, I don't know. I just don't know enough about that.
So what else would you like to know before I ask you to make a decision on it?
Why? What are they gonna do with that extra 100? What?
We're going to develop a comprehensive plan of the storm and surface water utility needs.
We gave them 200 initially in 21. They didn't use it, and now they want another 100 to use it. I'm just wondering why. What justifies that?
Is it 100,000 every year ongoing, Romero?
No.
No.
This is a study. It's, that's where it says total is $300,000 in the biennium. So when the board authorized this, we had an indication as to how much it's gonna cost, but that increased, the actual
Okay.
cost. So, and this is reflecting their planning to complete the study, the board already approved with an additional increase of overall 300,000.
That was my impression as well.
My question was about, like, is this required by law? Is this something that, do we have a comprehensive plan that's just out of date? Have we never had one before? Is this a new idea? I mean, I don't really know the context. It's different than a county comprehensive plan, probably.
It's different than the comp plan as you stated, but I think it's always worth, since this is associated with a fee, it's always, I think, prudent to go ever so often to reassess through a comprehensive plan, just to determine whether those fees are adequate or not.
Do we have one already? Or is this a new first time we've ever had one?
Well, it was an initial study when the fees were implemented.
Which was when?
Oh, geez, I can't remember when the stormwater fees was implemented.
Oh, I have no idea.
It's been, that's way
Years.
before our times.
Years and years.
Yeah.
The 200,000 previously approved will not be spent and will be absorbed in the fund balance at year end. I mean, I just wonder how come they're asking for another 100,000 when they're gonna roll 200.
Right, because,
Yeah, I don't get that. I just don't understand what it's trying to explain here, because I don't know enough about it.
Right.
Basically, I don't know where my seat notes are on it. That's my concern. I just don't understand it.
So you approved 200,000 at that time,
Sometime back.
sometime back. They have been able to do it. Now they have gone through the process of determining it's going to cost more, so at 300,000. And the justifications, they have enough fund balance to accomplish this study with additional 100,000.
Since it's a biennial budget, they've got to make the ask for the, I mean, yeah, if it's,
100 more.
Denise has got a hand up.
got her hand up.
Here we go.
So the way it was originally budgeted in 2021 was for $300,000 with 200,000 in 2021 and 100,000 in 2022. And that was when it was set up as the 2-year biennium, and then we only adopted one. So the amount hasn't changed, but because we went with
I
a
stand
annual.
corrected then.
So it's technical. It is technical. Yeah, thank you, Denise. So it's always been planned to be 300,000.
I stand corrected.
All right, I'm thumb up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's helpful to know.
All right, Denise, were you able to find out if B34047 is connected to, yes.
Yes. So both Karen and Jennifer got back to me. So much appreciated. They both said, yes, it is connected, and it's just housekeeping to get it all into the right fund.
Okay, well, I'll be thumbs up with that clarification or confirmation.
Okay,
What was this one?
good.
Those are land items 24 and 25.
Yep, 24 and 25 is just to move the money to where
Is that
it can be
300,000?
spent.
Yes, sir.
So are you good with that? Yes. All right, that's a go. And the other one's on hold, and with that, we are done with Public Works, so let's take a short break.
11 minutes to 10:40 or 10:50, Robin?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Just got out of court over with Carol Murphy, and so here we go. A halfway victory. She just unruled what a commissioner ruled before, but we still didn't get the right full decision.
Which judge were you in front of?
Carol Murphy.
We
Murphy.
can wrap up at whatever time.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was fine.
What you see now
It's one of
is
these
everything we need to do.
Sagas that I have people that want to put in sewer.
So we can quit.
They want to spend
at any
$100,000 to
time.
put sewer to their fourplex.
Excuse me, we're still live.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Romero, we're still live.
Hey, Brian, can you pause it?
All right, it's 10:53 a.m. We're back with our morning budget session, picking right back up for the Board of County Commissioners on this October 22nd, 2021. Back to you, Robin.
Thank you, Commissioner. We're going to continue with packet number 4. This is the non-general fund policy request for all other. So we just worked our way through Public Works. We set aside general fund for later. Soon we'll be looking at various funds in public health. The packet we're going to work through right now are all the other funds where there were not a significant number of requests to form a whole bundle. So we're going to walk through a variety of requests from various offices and departments.
And what was the other funds in our binder again?
I remember we looked through all the other funds, but
We went through each of the restricted funds that the board monitors. That's under your commissioners tab.
Okay.
But some funds are administered by various offices and departments. Like all the funds we just reviewed are all administered by Public Works.
Okay.
So the first one on this list is in the auditor's office. So you would look under the auditor tab if you'd like to see this particular fund. So starting, if you're ready, on line 1 with B0215, this is a request to continue the project for imaging historical documents. Roughly 200,000, just a little over 200,000 per year. The auditor has been working on this project for a few years now, and as you can see in the statement of need, there are still thousands of documents that need to be scanned in to preserve them. This is being paid out of the auditor's maintenance and operations fund. There is no impact on the general fund, and they are project positions. So this would extend the end dates of the project positions, I think through the end of 2023.
Also includes some of the clerks' positions.
That's on a different line, but
It is associated with.
yes, it
But they're
is.
connected.
They
Yeah.
are connected.
I'm okay with that.
Thumbs up on this? All right, great. Here we go. Line number 2 is from the Commissioner's Office. It is for Fund 1930, that's your Historic Preservation Fund. This is a request for $10,000 every year to continue to fund the Thurston County Historical Journal. And you may recall that just about every year, you get a request for funding for the Historic Journal. And what we are proposing at this point is just putting $10,000 every year on an ongoing basis to pay for the journal to continue to be produced. Yes,
Does that limit our ability to do other things though for the historic?
Does it next time?
I will say that every choice you make has an opportunity
Okay.
cost.
Okay,
But you know what, this fund has a healthy fund balance,
okay,
and I would encourage you to spend
So
it,
the next line is the grants.
okay.
right? So I'm getting thumbs up on the Historic Journal. That will be you're gonna make someone very happy there. I counts every year. So line number 3 is also from the Historic Preservation Fund. There is a substantial amount of money in the fund, but there's a number of projects that were approved And this is one where I'm gonna ask for help from the budget team because it's still not terribly clear to me. I think that what they've listed here are examples of projects you funded in the past. And what they're proposing is an additional 30,000 for new projects, but I'm gonna ask the staff if that's right, or if this is just rolling money over to be able to pay for projects already approved. Hi, Patty.
I think the 30,000 is for new projects.
New projects.
Yeah, they had a healthy fund balance and they wanted to not use it as a savings account.
Great, thank you. So the projects you see listed are examples of projects that have been funded or are in progress. This 30 would be to add to their annual request for proposals. And any projects would be reviewed by the board before approved. So, questions, or are you ready to go on?
I'm okay.
Good, thumbs, yes, all thumbs up. All right, line 4 is the stadium convention, it's for the tourism promotion account. It's got a weird name, but really it's tourism promotion, it's money used by the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. And I am proposing, because there is a substantial fund balance in this fund, it's a small fund, but for this fund, it's a lot of money, that you increase the amount that is available for awards. And given that we're just coming out of COVID and this is an impacted industry, this would be a nice boost to the community.
And we didn't spend much.
We didn't spend any
in
this
that
year.
period.
That's right. So, questions? Nope, I see thumbs up, Commissioner Menzer.
What packet would this be in from before, non-departmental or?
Yes, this is not non-departmental. Non-departmental is 100%, but this is under Commissioners tab.
Okay,
That's where you would find Fund 1300.
yep, I'm good on this one.
Okay, great. There's a lot of money in his, you might have heard Patty say about the Historic Preservation Fund, we don't want to use these as bank accounts. This money is meant to be spent, so when you see large fund balances like this, I encourage you to spend them.
Commissioner Mejia, good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yep. On line 5, B0323, this is from the Conservation Futures Fund. This is the request coming from CPED to fund an additional $1 million in each of the next 2 years, not continuing into the future, for advanced purchase of habitat. This is in addition to the 500,000 that we have in the base in conservation futures for habitat connected to the Habitat Conservation Plan.
You know, the final sentence in that says this is a temporary increase in funding for 22 and 23 only.
Correct.
I thought under our HCP, we had to show that we were gonna have ongoing funding to accomplish this goal.
Yes, 500,000 and that's in the base.
Okay.
All right? Other questions or?
No, well, not really.
Thumbs up. All right, excellent. Line number 6 is B0502. This is from the clerk. They are, they're asking the board, they are recommending to the board to eliminate a position in the LFO collection fund simply because they can no longer afford these positions in the fund. The LFO fund has had decreasing revenue for years. If you don't do this, then you're going to have a problem with the fund balance. So the clerk is being proactive here, and the position has been vacant and will not be filled, and they're saying just eliminate it.
But I think it's more because on the general fund requests,
That's different.
Right, but I think this is one piece of her request.
Every request that has an impact to the general fund is in the general fund
So-
packet. So this is different than
No,
what
no,
you're
no, I
thinking.
understand, but what I'm trying to say is, the reduction on this fund isn't it requesting to supplement that on the general fund request? No.
Not for this particular one. This is just a
That's-
flat elimination of a vacancy.
I think you're remembering the juvenile superior court thing, Ramiro.
Oh, maybe, thank you.
Nah, you'll see another request from the clerk to move money to the general fund.
Okay.
There will be that, but that's not this.
But I do appreciate whenever there are like whenever a single line is part of like a larger plan, it's good to highlight that for the board. So I thank you, Ramiro.
Right. All right. So any other questions on line number 6? No, thumbs up? All right. Line number 7, B2206, this is the insurance risk fund. And this is to adjust the insurance risk rate. And this will allow us to pay for the increase in insurance premiums out of the insurance risk fund. You've already approved the rates for this fund in maintenance level, so there is sufficient fund balance to be able to do this. I'm seeing thumbs, 2 thumbs, Commissioner Mensah.
Line
Yep.
item 7.
Got it.
Just cross-referencing here. Let me see. 2206. Yep, good.
All right. Then we're at 2511 on line 8. This is a central services request to purchase an additional vehicle for the mailroom operations. And that is continued on line 9 because the money would be transferred to ER&R and the purchase would be made out of ER&R. So it's half of it's technical, but really it's just asking to buy a vehicle for the mailroom staff.
And which fund is that coming out of?
That would
R&R?
come out of the Central Service Facilities Fund would be the ultimate pay
And then eventually there's gonna be continued pay into.
into ER&R to replace it over time, yes.
And we're gonna be adding a new location, and so this actually is well needed, Commissioner.
I see thumbs on
Yep.
this. I see 2. Commissioner Mensah, are you good?
Give me 1 second here.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, thank you. At the top of page 3, line 10, B2512, this is the request to add an FTE to support the facilities division due to the increase in square footage that we need to maintain. Would be paid for from the central services facilities, and it's been factored into the rates.
Wasn't this the one where we had like questions about the square feet and all that? But I think we got that resolved.
Yes,
There was a typo in, I guess, in the report, but the new amount is 861 square feet.
that's correct.
61,000.
We have 14 FTEs, and industry standards would indicate that we really ought to have 30,
Kind of like our Parks Department, right?
kind of. Yeah.
Good plug.
Other questions about this one? I see a
Commissioner
thumbs,
Mensah?
1 thumb up, 2 thumbs up. Are you okay with this,
Well,
Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, and we got
Yeah, all
another
right.
building.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, thank you very much. And this next line item, line 11, is to purchase the vehicle that would go with the new FTE.
And I don't know enough about your operation to know if you share vehicles or if you don't, or if you can, or if you.
We already do
You
some
already do
sharing
some.
of vehicles, and some of the guys drive their own, which is a county risk, but. So thumbs, I see one thumb up to Commissioner Menzer.
Yeah, if you're telling me we need it.
Thank you. Line 12 is for, oh, no, line 12 goes with 11, to buy the vehicle. So line 13 is B2516. This is the camera one, and I have a document to share with you because you had a lot of questions about what the heck we were talking about and why it costs so much. So let me find that.
You made a point of where do we use the ring?
Right.
And
Wait, what line are we on?
We- 13.
13, B2516.
This is about cameras. And I'm sorry, I should have known that this would come today and had this ready for you. So I can print this off, but at the moment, it's easiest to share the screen.
Well, the 824 is for the purchase of the cameras and application to ER&R, right?
That's right, it starts to pay into ER&R. And it's going to take us until 23 to get the project ready and all the cameras.
And what are we gonna have? I guess my concern is, for that expenditure,
What do we get?
what do we get? And
I'm about-
who's monitoring?
She's
I am about
What do we
to
get
show
from
you
that?
what you get.
Good questions.
And I'm sorry that I did not print this out for you. I should have had it ready. So all of the buildings, these are where various county buildings are. Here's a list here, and I'm going to expand it so you can see the list a little better. And you see it's color coded for the year that we would do the replacement of the cameras. But this is 428 cameras that are part of systems. What we have now are 3 or 4 different systems, and the cameras are starting to fail. So there would be 8 cameras in the ballot processing center. There is 1 camera in building 1 at the treasurer's office. The coroner has 9 cameras. 4 cameras at the fairgrounds, 96 cameras in juvenile detention, 157 cameras in the jail and the options building, and the cameras at the old jail, which by the way are on a completely different system. IT in the main buildings, IT is the owner, but the cameras are in all 3 buildings. There are 43 cameras, cameras at the Rainier drop box and the Rochester drop box. There are 12 between the 2. TCOM 911 has 10. Tilly buildings, you can see it looks like about 48 at the various Tilly buildings and 12 at the Wharf. We're about to put 18 cameras for security. We have those in at Chandler Court in the offsite courtroom. Those, the courthouse room, the offsite courtroom at Chandler Court is leased, but we had to install all of the security. So anything with a color, you can see what year it would be replaced. but we want to start paying into ER&R now so that we're able to replace them when the time comes. We have no money for these cameras right now. Below you see the cameras that are included in the countywide security improvement project. Those cameras are in addition to what we're asking you for here. So you'd
My
be
note-
getting 400.
My notes say that more than half of this $824,000 is coming from general fund. Is that because of ER&R or?
So that was a rough guess on the spot, but when we look at this, that is because of all of the cameras at the jail, FJC, the number of cameras at the corner. It's heavy at the jail.
So why isn't this request something that we're gonna touch when we look at the general fund?
That is a very good question. The strategy here is that the rates would not begin until 2024. So you don't see general fund impact in this biennium. The first year of payment would be 100% out of the central services funds.
I have a concern about how effective this is gonna be for the expenditure. And what do we really get out of it? And we've got some places that already have their cameras, right? Like,
all
I'll just
of
say
these
the
places.
coroner's office, the jail.
These cameras, these are all there.
Right, but you're gonna upgrade them because they're not working now?
They're starting to
Are
fail,
some working and some not?
yes. And they're starting to fail, and they're on a variety of systems.
And is the plan gonna put them on one system and one monitor?
It puts them all on the same system so that we can maintain them more efficiently. And I don't know about one monitor, all the cameras in a location.
I guess what I'm wondering about is why every individual entity, if we're not having a centrally operated camera program, for whatever.
That's exactly what we try to do.
But what would be the goal to accomplish if you did that? And in the meantime, how come these individual entities, the jail, the coroner, whomever, isn't putting in that these need to come up for replacement and they need to be on ER&R?
That's
I guess
exactly-
rather than doing it this way, so we have some individual accountability, I guess.
Okay, but that's exactly what we're asking you to do, is to, for whatever reason, at the time the cameras were purchased, they were not set up to pay into ER&R. That's why we don't have money now to replace the ones that need to be replaced in the short term. We're asking you to start to pay into ER&R so that as the time comes up, we've got money to replace the cameras. The other page of this, do I have a page 2? Here we go. Here's the schedule of the various cameras, when they'd be replaced and how much for each of the systems. And I'll print this off. I apologize that I did not already print it.
Well, I don't know, I'm probably.
And I know it's a lot of money, but the
I'm sure
alternative.
I'm one of the low.
If Commissioner Ed, I'm thumbs down if that helps you. You don't have to convince me. I'm not approving this at this juncture.
Well, I'm just not there yet, that's all.
Yeah, me either.
Okay,
So,
and that's your prerogative as a board.
but I do think that individual entities, if there is that need, I'm not against putting money towards.
What do you mean, Commissioner, when you say individual
Well,
entities?
okay, what's the coroner worried about somebody breaking in to steal a body? I don't know, I can maybe understand watching the door.
He's
At the jail.
concerned about the safety of his staff who are there 24/7 in a remote location, as well as the equipment that he has and the bodies that he is custody of.
But then I would expect him to articulate that and justify that in his budget request.
So that's not how we maintain the facilities that you own. When it comes time to do cameras, that's the responsibility of central services for all of your buildings. And that's how it's been done. I mean, I could tell the jail that they're on their own to come tell you about cameras in the court but we do cameras in each building, not
Do we
by
have cameras in this
office.
building?
Yes,
We do have cameras.
We do.
yeah, the treasurer.
Okay.
And the thing is, they're gonna break. So I'll be coming to you saying I need a camera system.
Thank you. Commissioner McKee, I got a question that, that's really the conversation you need to have, is, those cameras are old and gonna break.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be put in the position to replace them. And we're gonna have to come back to you with a budget amendment. So, and because the option of not replacing those cameras, I don't think is an option. And you said what they need public works, for instance, cameras. They have a lot of equipment and tools. They will need to make sure that we guard those. Why do we need cameras at the work? We need to make sure that there's a lot of stuff that people dispose of it, and we need to make sure that we have a tracking mechanism to do that. And here, we upgraded the camera system at the courthouse. And that has been extremely effective by the courts because we get a lot of requests to provide footage of the specific times and locations. So, and I think you used it, Commissioner Edwards, so many old cameras within old systems. And at some point, we need to upgrade those systems because, even some of the phones that we use, they used to work 5 years ago, perhaps don't work on the new operating system that is today. So it's just the evolution of the technology, but at the end of the day, we will have to replace them one way or the other.
Okay, I'm looking towards pretrial services, for an example, to expand what they do for efficiencies. I just don't see anything efficient about what we're talking about today. I hear the commission, my seatmate looks like she's got something to say.
Yeah, so my question's in regards to I'm confused about the expenditure of it going from central services and then after that switching to the general fund. So that's where I'm kind of lost.
Okay, so all central services are revolving funds. And the revenue into a central services fund, any central service fund, is from the other funds of the county. So in central services, they have to bill out 100% of their costs. They've got no revenues, they don't get taxes, they don't get fees. The internal service rates are essentially the fees.
Okay, so the 824 would come from that central services and not from the general fund?
Eventually,
So-
it will.
So it basically will be a general fund expenditure.
It will be billed out to all the benefiting funds. So we'll buy the cameras out of the central service fund and then you bill it, the cameras for the jail will be billed to the jail. And they'll pay for their cameras.
Which is general fund.
Yeah, general fund.
And they'll want a budget increase to pay for the higher
yeah.
rate.
Yep, it would be in
So
the
that's how
rates.
it's gonna hit the general fund for all the buildings that are general
the
fund
rate.
built.
They'll all want money to pay for
They need to
new
pay their
increased
rates. Yep,
No, like the road department can pay for theirs out of the road fund.
that's exactly what they
Yeah,
would do.
and the jail probably could pay for those out of the detention sales tax.
We could indeed charge detention sales tax.
So I mean, there's other ways we can break that up. It's just,
Yep.
I'm just not there yet as far as the efficiency of this whole thing. I'd rather take $500,000 than $1 million. I mean, you're not at $1 million, but really you are probably by the time you go over. I'd rather put $500,000 in the rainy day fund and do this as a standalone item of discussion rather than trying to figure this out in 10 minutes.
So,
I know we've had this discussion.
Are there gonna be, Ramiro, are there gonna be cameras at the atrium?
but,
Yes.
yes,
Okay, so right there, by making that expenditure, we've upgraded we've taken a step toward upgrading the security and the quality of the cameras across the county. I mean, you guys are making a good argument, but every single line item on all of these sheets, somebody can make an equally passionate argument.
Exactly right.
And so we're just gonna run. I don't even have the concern Commissioner Edwards has about the efficiency. I just think we're gonna run out of money, and this is just not the high priority for me.
so what the, an option the board could have is there, because in here, the 824,000 includes contributions to ER&R funds, is that correct?
That's right.
So it would.
Oh, no, this
This is just a pure
800,
replacement.
right, because we'd start the rates the following year.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this is what it costs to start buying them and paying into the fund. And in the first year, in 2023, we would spend 600,000 of that. 800,000 is for the system at the jail, just at the jail.
So,
In 23, it's gonna break.
so for me, where I'm at, I see a need in it for just the jail, the courts, and how much it's needed there. I understand why other offices have it for security purposes, but I know when the courts installed their cameras, how big of a need it was. And for me, I don't want to be caught in a spot of scrambling for money later on when one of these things breaks. But I also am in this part where I kind of want to see what the impact would be to the general fund because there's so many other requests in the general fund. So can this be, we put this on hold until we're in the general fund
Yes.
items?
Yes?
Because I kind of want to, again, be weighing it, and right now, my brain is not there because we haven't reviewed all the general fund items.
But that is a good conversation to have, but keep in mind that you will not see an impact in 2023 on the general fund.
But I could add the impact in
But-
2024.
Yeah, because then you will see the 2024 in the, so.
I
Well,
could
you'll
add
see
that
an
to the.
expenditure going.
No, you
to
wouldn't,
replace
you
them.
wouldn't see
You
the
wouldn't see that.
expenditure. This expenditure is out of the ER, out of the building reserve. It's the building fund, which is your other savings account. Like ER&R, you've got that building reserve account that we pay into to replace things like cameras, roofs, HVAC.
I guess I'd like also
So,
go along
I'm-
with Commissioner Mejia.
I'm trying very hard to explain this without pitching it, since it's my,
No, I can pitch
Yeah.
it because the fact of the matter is those cameras are gonna fail. And then the board's gonna be in the position to find money to replace it.
Yeah.
Because at the jail, if they fail, we don't have an option not to replace them. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
So my proposal is let's wait and move it to the general fund conversation, and then once we're weighing our pros and cons of each one, then we can have a bigger conversation on this.
I would like to know who's gonna monitor all this stuff. I know what's going on at the jail. I know about monitoring the cameras at the jail. But all the rest of the facilities that we've got, have we got somebody glued here to a computer screen trying to watch this 24 hours a day? Or do we recall the information? We only bring it up if there was a theft of a catalytic
For
converter?
instance, on the system that we have here at the courthouse that we replaced, we implemented a new system maybe 2 years ago, is we have several cameras, And most of those are motion detected. So as soon as the camera detects motion, it starts recording.
Right.
So that's what the only things we record. Nobody's is watching what is
Right,
going on.
yeah, okay.
That would be a waste of resources in my point of
Right,
view.
right.
But when something happens, we have that evidence behind it, and that's the point.
And in the courts, they have, the security guys have their
Yeah, they have
panel,
their screens
and
there.
they're the ones monitoring.
And I get requests from the courts so often.
See, I think there's different priorities in here. The courts being one of them, probably, the jail being one of them.
Elections?
Elections, yeah. Because
Yeah.
elections, they do the ballot counting and they have the cameras.
Right.
Which it was pretty nifty this year where they had, I thought, they had their whole ballot processing and you could view it from.
Probably gonna be more important than ever next year.
So how about Commissioner Mejia has asked that this item be put on hold. That would allow me to print the materials that you should have had and get those to you so you can look at the rest of the information about them and have a more nuanced conversation when you see the general fund.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Are you good with that, Commissioner Menzer?
It's fine. I mean, I think it's fair to say I'm unlikely to change my mind, but that's
Right.
fine. I don't have a problem. We need to vote on it today.
On cameras. All right, so moving on to line 14. We have from Medic 1,
One sec.
Emergency Services. So there are increased operating costs for Medic 1 in the amount of $6,000 per year. And this would cover office supplies and small tools and minor equipment.
And I got no problem with this.
Okay, thumbs up. Yep, good. B2903, we're on line 15. This adds approximately $105,000 a year. And this would be 1 FTE for a quality improvement coordinator for Medic 1.
No problem with that.
You all rank this high, so 3 thumbs up.
This was Kurt's #1 priority, so I'm going with that.
Next item, on line 16 just goes with the one you just voted on. The next item is line 17, B2904. That is 1 FTE that would be advanced life support training coordinator for about $119,000 a year from the Medic 1 fund.
And that goes to train about 500 people. I got no problem with that.
You got one high.
That must have been me.
It must have been you.
And I might point out that the EMS council just reviewed and said this is what they want. So,
Can I just say my concerns with just this whole,
This is
So-
fine.
I was, I won't say disappointed, but I was kind of surprised, I guess, when, when we passed the Medic 1 tax, it was because of their operating budget had, operating costs were going up, they didn't have enough. And so for me, that was kind of like the big picture of things. Okay, that's why we need to pass this tax, because so they can keep providing these services. But I saw a lot of things, and I understand we need trainings and things like that, but it seemed like just those were the high priorities, and then the operating went down to the bottom, and that's kind of why I ranked this a medium, because I'm like, well, then, what are the priorities? Is it training or was it operating? Because at the end of the line, I feel like, it just doesn't show sustainability to the taxpayers when we're, saying, we need more money for operating costs, and then we're just kind of splurging. a little bit onto all of our wants instead of like focusing on the first couple of years on our needs and covering our bases and then focusing on our wants. So that was kind of why I rated this a medium. I kind of wanted to see where the rest of my seatmates were on this. Again, for a training coordinator, I want to know, I have several questions in regards to this, and specifically like, what is being done now? Like, are these, where are they going for training? What's the cost comparative? And yeah,
I guess I can encapsulate that in
Yeah.
that really, without training, you don't have operations that do worth a darn. So that's kind of, this is going to formalize that position and covering all those volunteers that we're always trying to bring in to the system, and there's lots of them. And I can only say that Kurt put together as good a presentation in regard to need as I think he could have put forward. So
He also, Kurt sent a clarification, I think.
Oh, he sent a long email,
Yeah.
a very long email.
Denise, do you have the chance to review that one? I don't know if I want to put you on the spot on that one, but.
So I have not read through that. Hi Denise.
Denise has her hand up.
I can't tell you what it says off the top of my head, but I can grab it and do a quick read.
Right. So I noticed that we're over time. We're supposed to wrap at 11:30, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we can end here. We can take a look at that memo from Kurt and pick up at this when we resume at 1:30. How's that?
All right.
okay.
Okay.
I do have some of those questions Commissioner Mejia had, so I'd like to get a little closer look. I was also a medium on this particular item. All right, so
Kurt sent.
we're going to wrap this this morning's session. We'll be in a different Zoom session with a new session at 1:30 for our afternoon budget going till 4.
All right.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.